Video game bang, video game bang, video game bang. Video game. Mega Brand. Live from the sack, it's the livest. In fact, I'm putting rhymes on this track to put my guys on the map. Updates, geek news, tech talk, and reviews. They can summarize it so you ain't gotta breeze through. Listen once and you're forever fans. And I'm not saying it because their theme song features Mega Ram, the ultimate source of all geek media. Other podcasts, they just don't match up. Need proof? You can check the archives and catch up. Stats off the chain, we have rearranged the game. It'll never be the same. Now it's time to feel the
bang. What is up, my pizzas? Cory, Vincent here. Video game bang, back in the house. We're back, everybody. I think we're gonna get to normalcy again. It's been a wild ride the last few months with vacations and Twitch cons and New York Comic Cons and what everybody's got going on. But we've been holding this ship together in no small part thanks to this man, Eddie Villanueva. What's up, man? Mr. Filmlosopher.
Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of Video Game Bang.
I love when he does that.
What is up, guys? I'm glad to be here. And yeah, it was fun. I spent the last couple of, the last week or so with Emma, and we held down the ship here for a couple of episodes. And you know what? It was awesome. Had fun.
Yeah, you guys crushed it, man. You got that Filmlosopher vibe over here, so when people need to talk movies, you're right there with it. You actually did a Joker review, which we'll talk a little bit about. But before we get to that, thank you to Jason Gist, who in the Twitch chat just became a sub to our channel for 24 months. Woo-hoo! That's 2 years for those of you counting. Thank you, man. Jay Gist is running things in Sacramento. If you don't know his name yet, you will know it very soon, especially with all the...
If you don't know his name yet, you're not running in the right circle.
He is the danger.
There you go.
Also helping every damn day, putting everything he's got into various projects across Sacramento, Curtis Fisher. What's going on? Glad to have you back, man.
I was about to say, I was on one of those episodes and I was going with my chopped liver. Come on.
Oh, you got so much going on. I can't even keep track of. Tell us about some of the new things you got going on, because you got a whole bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, y'all know about the Sacktown Breakdown.
Of course, we know that. You and Tap.
Me and Tap 2K. I call him Tap Pock. I call him Tapavelli. And then, I got the, we do the Krakoa cast.
We got that going.
We got that going.
Yes, sir.
And then I also got my own channel where I do whatever the hell I want. It's my channel.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing additional comic content stuff on a channel called Thinking Critical with my man Wes, who's way out in PI, out in the Philippines. Salomon Poe, and I'm out. That Tagalog was like terrible, but don't even get mad at the boy. So yeah, man, I'm all across the board. But tonight I'm here with y'all, and I couldn't be more excited.
In the present, I love it. And then joining us back from TwitchCon.
Hello.
Looked like you had the time of your life.
I feel dead. It's
Patrick
fine.
Swayze and all.
Nexy, how was TwitchCon?
It was an experience. I did things. I saw things. I met people.
Whoa! What kind of things?
Did things.
Because TwitchCon is really annoying unless you're at TwitchCon, just because every other Twitter post is someone complaining about some sort of drama or trying to send messages.
Did my own thing.
Yeah. Did you have any bad negative experiences with people, or was it all positive?
No, it was for the most part positive. There were some crazy people that I had to deal with, but it was okay.
Crazy people.
Yeah, we're not gonna dive into that.
No?
No.
So it wasn't good. It was awful.
I mean, it was good. There were just some people that I was just like.
Nexy, have you not got it? We live for the chisme. We live for the gossip.
Yeah. How many people asked you how many followers you got?
None. Well, no, actually one random guy came up to me and a group of people asking hey, are any of you guys partnered, while he was live streaming, shoving his camera on our face. And I was like, great, cool. No.
That's part of the problem right there.
Tell him you're partnered with Nunya business.
Did you run into any famous, the big streamers? Did you run into, the top tier that we got out there?
You're asking this specifically because I told you. I did.
You don't ruin podcast magic. That's not how it works.
Well, it's fine.
They're not supposed to know that we talked before the episode.
Her pale skin is turning red. You're giving her color.
No,
did you talk to anybody?
I wear full coverage foundation. Excuse me.
Oh, I'm sorry. My
I'll
bad.
pretend to know what that means. You didn't talk to any famous live streamers with a mullet and mustache?
I didn't talk to him. I would never willingly talk to him.
Wait, what?
No,
Why?
I do not care for him.
So of course we're talking about Dr.
Dr.
Disrespect. The doc.
Yeah, I took
doc.
a picture of him from across the G Fuel bus, so that was it.
What?
Yeah.
Why? He's not
Creeper from afar.
He's not
like
an animal in a cage.
He's. No, I'm not gonna make that joke. Never mind.
She's like, I just don't know. I just can't.
I truly can't. He's banned from my Twitch channel. Actually, I don't care for him in the slightest. So
That's fair.
But yeah, I had to still take a picture of him because
I
I
mean,
care
hey.
at least a little bit.
He's like, he does exist. My fears
Yeah.
are not just some made up
He is
mental.
massive. He is a giant man. He is so tall.
Okay, I'm trying to equate. What do you mean by giant? Do you mean like giant
He is
vertical
very tall.
or horizontal? I'm just making sure. It's like, because we've seen those guys from like South Park and all that, and just saying.
This is true.
No, he's very tall. It is
Overall,
horrifying.
TwitchCon success. Are you going next year? Is this a can't miss convention? Did you grow out of it? What did you learn? Are you coming home to be a better streamer? What's the point?
Well, there was a lot of personal growth and growth from my channel because I did get offered a sponsorship, my very
Nice.
first sponsorship for my
Oh.
channel, and that's very huge. So I'm excited for more of that to become official, and my next stream back will have stuff to do with that. But like, aside from that, it was mostly just like an experience to meet viewers that I had never actually like fully gotten a chance to interact with before. So it was cool.
Wow.
It's not a not miss convention because most of the time I didn't even spend it at the con. I didn't go to any of like the panels or events or anything. I just kind of wandered. But
Yeah.
that's my personal thing.
Was this your first TwitchCon?
No, last year was my first.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm just getting so jaded for TwitchCon. I just feel like it's a bunch of mid-level streamers sprinkled in with like the heavy hitters, and everybody just there to kind of massage their egos.
Yeah.
And then they do it so, I don't know. I just don't feel like it's authentic like it used to be. You know, everything was
Yeah.
better
It
back
used
in
to
the
be.
day.
Yeah.
But let's talk about a little bit of Film Philosophers before we jump into the news. You did a controversial episode.
Yeah, we actually reviewed the polarizing film that just dropped, Joker by Todd Phillips. It was definitely one of those experiences where, number one, I'm not really interested in going to see it again, not because it was horrible or anything, just because one time is enough for me.
Yeah.
But
Everyone here, it's heavy.
it's definitely not the Joker film you're expecting. It's one of those movies where you expect to come in, and with everything else that we've seen with DC and whatnot, you think maybe there's some tie to the overall DC universe. This obviously has no tie to that. This is kind of the experimental approach that even somebody like Christopher Nolan initially took with the first Batman Begins film. It wasn't going to tie to any larger universe. It was just going to be a very unique and enclosed, trilogy or film series. That was all of Todd Phillips' approach to this film. He wasn't going to make it so that it could tie to the larger overall franchise or overall, universe. This was going to be a standalone.
So, I mean, I guess you're saying it's not the film you're expecting for the average Joe, but for us, we've been following it forever. We knew damn well it wasn't going to really, it was going to be a standalone thing, and it was going to be more of a serious, psychological kind of effed up movie.
Yeah.
Was it? How bad was it? Was it really on, distasteful, I guess is the word? Like, would you say that was a distasteful movie? I think, it was way too offensive.
The thing about this movie, cinematically, I don't know where the hell Todd Phillips pulled this out of. This is the director who did Road Trip, Euro Trip. He's the one who did all the Hangover films. How the hell did he create this cinematic, wonder is a thought beyond mine, because this is in all essence a true cinematic experience. This film is beautiful. This film definitely has all the marks of what you would look at for, a really great film. The score is on point. The composition is beautiful. The cinematography, even the blocking of where the characters are in each scene, it's all great. Everything works. The biggest thing that comes about it, though, is that as a as a movie lover, I can appreciate the cinematography, all the logistical aspects of it. As a responsible critic, I have to give myself a second to pause and recognize what is the message that this film is sending. Now, I've been looking at every single thing out there in terms of YouTube videos and in terms of like, you know, people who put out articles and all this saying, oh, well, you know, it's you got to go deeper than just the surface. You got to go and look over here. You got to go and dig a few levels down, or you got to, and mind you, if this was any other film, yeah, sure. I mean, no doubt. However, because of the fact that this film has already serious implications against it with everything else going on and the age that we're living in, there has to be certain areas of caution and recognition. So the biggest thing for me is, as a responsible person, can I, in all good consciousness, you know, condone anybody else to go
tell
and see
someone
this
to
film?
go see this movie when it could potentially be harmful to their mental. Yeah, okay, I dig that. I could see that.
Yeah, because you and I actually, right before I went on the air, I was still kind of having a little bit of issue, like, going forward and, you know, translating that. But, like, you made some really great points, and it kind of formulated my final opinion on, yes, there are certain things about the film that I can find questionable, and I can give that word of caution to whomever is listening. However, overall, I am somebody who's willing to give anything its fair shake. I'm never one to, you know, refuse anybody an opportunity to experience somebody's freedom of speech.
Yeah.
And so my biggest just final word to the whole film is, you know what? Check it out. Be responsible. Go check it out and formulate your own opinions.
Yeah.
You know, this film is definitely not for anybody under the age of like 16 or 18. No matter how, you know, grown or mature you may think you are, there's a lot of things that it takes time to process for this film. But all in all, just formulate your own opinions and recognize that this is not the Joker film you're going in to expect.
Before we move on, Nexy, you gonna go see this movie or passing?
I'm passing.
Curtis?
Oh, you already know I'm passing. I've been said I ain't seeing this movie.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go see it. I want to go see it this week. I really appreciate what you're saying about it.
Yeah.
And I just feel like I cannot have an opinion until I see it. I guess there's enough facts out there about it. I understand that, you know, the sign of the times type of situation. Like maybe if it was a different time or something, this movie would have been perceived way differently.
Oh, 100%.
You know, we're in a scary time of 2019 anyways, as far as just like, you know, violence and people of differing opinions and stuff, and it's hard for content to just be content anymore. You have to almost look at things through a world scope.
Yeah.
So it's, where do you draw the line between that sensitivity and, like what you had said, freedom of speech and just good storytelling? What, you know, just because, you know, if the story's bad or people don't like it, doesn't mean it's a bad story.
Well, and us, just before, you know, I kind of wrap this up, like us as podcasters and people who have, you know, some level of influence, we have a responsibility to people. And if we were just like, oh yeah, go see it, it's this, that, it's crazy, it's whatever, you know, it's the best thing ever, it's on us to let people believe that there was nothing else to it. And that's why, like, part of my whole situation, I don't have issues with the filmmakers. I have issues with the critics out there, the people who are saying like, oh, it's Oscar-worthy and this and that, but not giving the full breadth of what it all entails.
Absolutely. Yeah,
and that's where my biggest thing is. So,
well, thank you for dropping it. If you want to catch the full review of Eddie and Spencer's review of the Joker and, you know, their thoughts, and you guys go through full spoiler, right?
Oh yeah, that's a full spoiler.
Yeah,
There's no way we could have that kind of conversation without spoilers.
I'd go recommend listening to that, especially if you're not going to watch it, because then you can get, you know, you're not worrying about spoilers, and you can get like a full breakdown. And if I know anything about Eddie and Spence, they're just two very reasonable, logical guys who don't like let the emotions get to them. They'll tell you exactly what it is, and I trust their opinion. The only reason I haven't listened to it yet is because I'm going to go watch it. Yeah, then I'm going to listen. So,
because if in all honesty, had Cory had seen it, he would have been on yesterday's episode too.
I wish.
I was like, we need to bring in Cory. So.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Filmlosopher. And we're going to go back over to Nexy because she put her hard sweat, blood, tears, everything into the show notes today for us in Emma's absence. Who, shout out to Emma. She was supposed to be on the show today. A 7-hour flight turned into a 24-hour nightmare. So we were like, just chill. take some time. She posted, I love it. She does these mirror selfies. She did a before after, like getting on the plane, and then she did all right, I'm fucking home.
A very disheveled picture.
Oh my god.
Your words, not mine.
She looked like she had been through the ringer.
Yeah.
Like, I looked at her, like, the first one was like, oh, cool, she's looking all cute, whatever, getting on the plane. At the end, she's like, it looks like she came out of a riot at the end of that.
The Walking Dead just started. She looked like she could have been an extra.
Exactly.
So what are we starting with over here?
We're going to start with the new Pokemon
Let's
that has been announced.
New Pokemon.
Let's start with something cute.
Tell me about it.
So, we have, after a 24-hour live stream that Pokemon and Nintendo did, we got an announcement of the Galarian Ponyta.
Ponyta, classic fire-type horse Pokemon.
But it's not going to be a fire type in the game that it's exclusive to, Pokemon Shield.
Oh, it's an exclusive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because Surfetched was exclusive to Pokemon Sword, so Ponyta is going to be exclusive to Pokemon Shield. And it's not a fire type, it is now going to be a psychic type, even though most people were, based off of the way that it looks, which is very, like, pastel, pretty, unicorn,
It
fluffy.
looks like something out of My Little Pony.
My Little Ponyta. Like,
Yeah.
I'm looking
That's
at this
actually a
thing.
really great way to put it.
I've avoided this thing. I'm looking at it now, and this. Okay, Pokemon,
cute.
you've ran out of ideas. This is a character from My Little Pony.
It's completely
cute.
It's completely out of My Little
got,
Pony.
Yeah, it's got like rainbow feather thing. It's a unicorn now.
It's always had a horn. It's always been a unicorn.
And then
I
they're
guess so.
and then what do you call it? The folks over at Pokemon, they're gonna go ahead and make a whole series that's based on all these little Ponytas.
My Little Ponytas.
And they're gonna call it My Little Ponytas
God
or
dang.
Anyways, back to the type. For some reason,
my
they
God.
made it a psychic type when most people were guessing that it was going to end up being a fairy type. I see fairy type a lot more than psychic type, especially with its abilities. So it has 2 new abilities. One of them is a classic runaway, so it's a guaranteed flee from wild battles. But its new ability is titled Pastel Veil, which prevents Ponyta and an ally, if it's in a double battle, from being poisoned.
Oh,
And being affected by the
let's
poison
go.
effect.
That's a
So-
little OD.
So if you're in a double battle and a Pokemon is already poisoned, if you bring out the Galarian Ponyta, then it automatically cures that other Pokemon of poison.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
gonna get abused.
Yeah.
yeah.
Nerf Ponyta. Runaway is so annoying. So that just means it's gonna be a bitch and a half to catch, right? Is it like?
Well, the Runaway was the.
Oh, it's not like Abra was, right? Where like you throw a Pokeball at it and it just vanishes.
Well, with Abra, its ability was teleport, so it would instantly
Yeah.
get away. Runaway is very much similar, where it has a guaranteed flee from wild battles. So it is the same concept, but
Yeah.
for the 2 different Pokemon.
Which you've seen it a lot more in like the Pokemon Go with the dark Pokemon being purified. They get that Runaway ability.
I played so much Pokemon Go in Italy. It's probably disgusting.
No.
Oh yeah, I got. Thanks by the way for all the really cool little gifts.
Yeah, you're a
I'm
friend
like,
now, so I was sending you all my good stuff.
I'm like, holy hell, they got a Pokestop over here at the fountains at whatever in Italy or whatever. I'm like,
Was it the
Oh.
Lizzie McGuire fountain? Was that fountain?
let the rains fall. Down.
We had I went into I had a question because as we were in Italy, I didn't pay attention to the subreddit, so I didn't know they were dropping a new generation. So they dropped a new generation only a couple weeks ago, and all this stuff started popping up on the radar while we were gone, and that's when I knew, oh, this trip is just dedicated to Pokemon. I got to find out exactly what these exclusives
Wow.
are. So I went into the Discord, Sacramento Discord, and I was like, hey guys, what are the exclusives I need to be looking for? You know, what do I bring back to trade? And inundated automatically with like 50 friend requests. So now my friend thing is full. I'm the most popular guy at the raids these days. I'm
There you go.
I'm loving Pokemon Go life right now. What else we got in the news?
We have an announcement of a new console.
Okay.
That's right.
What do we got
The
here?
PlayStation 5 is coming out holiday 2020. So anytime between October and December of next year, we're going to be seeing a PlayStation 5.
So this was kind of it felt like they just dropped this on our heads kind of
Yeah.
out of nowhere. It wasn't like at a big event or anything, was it?
No,
It
it's-
was just all of a sudden.
Any imagery?
No, I don't believe so. I haven't seen anything.
All this stuff is fake that I'm
a
seeing
lot
online.
A lot of what they have dropped is just very few pieces, nothing that's even 100% is the thing. Like some of these, like they're gonna have complex lighting and sound effects in 3D environments because they're working on a new technology for it. And so when you're playing, if you have these sound capabilities, it just gives a different vibe. And it's
vibe check.
It's something that they're still working on, but they're not 100%. But they do, however, know that there is going to be 4K Blu-ray on it. And that's one of the biggest points that people were pointing out. So
and they also pointed out that the PS5 is going to have ray tracing. So, which is, if you're familiar with it, with most PC gamers, ray tracing is where the lighting abilities and so forth are going to be fully available for every piece of content that goes on the PS5. So, like, lighting ability is going to have a faster engine for all that. It's going to be like pretty cool.
I don't know. Now that I'm looking at the stuff, it looks like it does feel like the next generation in a way, but the fact that it's going to be fully backwards compatible still just feels like a giant PS4.5.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And I don't think we'll ever...
Didn't they make like a quote-unquote PS4.5? Didn't they make like a discless PS4?
They've done like PS Pros, and the Xbox has like their Pro version.
Or they were gonna come out with it. I don't know. I remember talking about it on one of the previous episodes like a while ago.
I'm glad you remember stuff we talk about.
Yeah, I have a very weird memory. It's fine. I don't even know if I've eaten today. It's okay. In all honesty, I don't think I've eaten today.
It's true. You did go to sleep this morning, so...
Yeah. I did go to bed at 5 a.m.
Nothing on price points at all, though, right?
No. There's hardly, if any, information about this. The only things we know, like potentially up to 8K video. They're using the AMD Ryzen chip, and a potential 5G technology if people aren't playing wired. Which who's not playing wired?
5G is supposed to be the business when that comes around. So I guess if they're saying you could run a PS5 off of like a network.
PS5G.
You'll be buying your 5G
wow. PS5G, there you go.
You'll be buying your PS5 like at T-Mobile.
Exactly. Like, get this on your data plan.
That's going to be wild.
I see the commercials already. It's like when Fortnite and like Sprint. Oh, man.
Oh, no.
Was it Sprint? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Sprint.
It was Samsung, I believe, like specifically, too, had some deals with Fortnite. What do you think, Eddie? Are you gonna be the first one in line buying one of these PS5s on holiday 2020?
Nope. When they go on sale, I'm gonna go and buy me a discounted PS4.
Smart.
Here's the thing: if I'm gonna pay however much, which I know it's gonna be expensive, if I'm gonna pay that much for a PS5, I might as well just start dishing out the money for my new PC. In all honesty, like, I can get everything that I want out of a gaming system and so much more by putting all the money I would put to a PS5 for all the workings for a great PC. So if I'm not really big on worrying about like 5K or 8K or whatever else not. I mean, I'm good with my Xbox One still. Yeah. I have my Switch, so I'm usually never home when I'm gaming anyway. Hey, as long as my TV will play my movies in 4K, I'm good. So,
Curt, what do you think, man? What if they make the next version of 2K PS5 exclusive? They don't do backwards compatibility.
Man,
now what's it gonna take to get you to shell out the money for the PS5?
What's it gonna take?
What's it gonna take?
Oh,
a sponsorship by Sony.
We can start there.
The winning the lottery.
All right, Sony, I know you're watching. Light me up. Nah, man, I'm just gonna wait for the Kingsguard to give me mine.
Oh, they gave me my PS4, that's how he gets all his next gen consoles, man. He's just raking it up in those tournament or those giveaways.
That's it, man. That's all I need to do. I'm not excited about it, honestly. I'm not excited almost at all. I mean, the ray tracing is probably the one thing, because someone who's a fan of like art and stuff like that, I'm like how light hits things and is represented within art is big to me. A lot of people forget that these video games are art. You know, so many of them have like such cinematic cutscenes and all this other different stuff. So there is an art to it. But no, just the asking price. And then, you know, I'm usually not one of the ones to not jump on something early because I'm like, the bugs. Like, bro, I don't know. Like, I'm lightweight to OG in the game. Like, I'll work out the bugs. Like, as long as the thing turns on, like, I'll figure it out. Yeah. You know what I mean? But nah, it's just with this one, the library is not going to be big enough to really like I said, justify it. And being that I already got a PS4 Pro, I'm kind of on Eddie's team. I'm just going to chill.
Yeah, as much as I'd like to think, I think other things that need to shake out in the industry as well, like the whole game streaming thing that we still don't know about. Like, well, how's Google Stadia gonna play into this, and what's Microsoft is still continually adding stuff to their games. What's their streaming platform called? I can't even remember right now.
Who knows?
Not Games with Gold, but their like on-demand service. Why am I forgetting what it's called? I've been out the game too long, guys. But still, like, that's as far as like the content where that's going to come from. You're not going to need a powerful machine with 4K, 8K outputs if they're going to be able to do that through your internet service or 5K anyways.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to buy just a Chrome stick, and it's going to handle all the stuff through the internet.
And even then, still, even if you buy a system that either puts out 8K or upscales to 8K, you're still missing the bigger piece here. Your TV has to put out 8K.
Yeah, which is going to cost 3 times as much as whatever this PS5 is going to cost.
So no matter what you're buying here, you're still going to need to buy something else to upscale for that, video. So you're just buying a more expensive PS4 in all honesty. So
thank you, Ruru2 in chat. It's called xCloud. That was going to drive me freaking nuts if I didn't come up with it. But go ahead, Nexy.
I don't know how I feel about it. I've never been a PlayStation person. If it's like going to the console wars, like I'll just invest in Project Scarlet if anything, like if I had to choose, but because Halo.
And that's coming to PC anyways.
Yeah.
That's going to be streamable through their games streaming service on, so you pay like a monthly fee and you'll just have access to Halo.
Yeah, holiday 2020. It's gonna be a thing.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see how the actual pre-orders happen, and if people are actually going to be head over heels for the PS5 pre-orders, or if it's just going to be one of those situations where Sony's going to be like, oh, I guess not everybody really wanted this. So
I feel like the PS5 is like the Wii U. Nobody asked for it. Nobody wanted it. Just stop.
But we're thankful it's here.
Are we?
The Wii U?
I mean, it's like this. It
was a thing.
It's that failing step to get to where we are now.
Yeah,
if the Wii U had not have had that little...
We wouldn't have the Switch.
We wouldn't have the Switch.
The Wii U walked so the Switch could run.
Exactly. Perfect way to put it. Someone put that on a t-shirt.
Thank you.
I'll do it.
The Wii U walked so that the Switch could run.
No, real talk, it really did, though. Like, literally look at the design. That was, like, where the breakdown was. They were like, okay, we got the gamepad, but it's not powerful enough to be divorced from that thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we had the Switch next. And if you guys look at like early designs of the Wii U, it looks like what the Switch ended up being.
That controller that had the screen in the middle of it, that's the thing that regardless if you thought it was a piece of trash and didn't have good games, you're like, but there's potential with this thing.
Yeah.
It's beeping at you. It's got noises at you. It made what few games, like any games that were worth anything on there generally had to do with that controller input.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
that's it.
Oh my god.
Next news story. I'll go ahead and take this one. It's a big one, close to my heart. The San Francisco Shock, Super and Sinatraa ended up making it on Jimmy Fallon this week. Which
Let's
was
go.
Pretty big. Came out
Shocked
of nowhere.
the world.
They did. They shocked the world, and there was a lot. I see it all. When they tag SF Shock, I go through and I read everything meticulously because I'm a freak. And so I started doing that, and a lot of people were concerned, even relevant names in the space, about how a lot of these interviews go. Because esports is, it's growing. It takes itself very seriously. It's huge, and it doesn't often get a lot of respect from the ESPN crowd, let's say. It's not a real sport, blah, blah, blah. And then...
Why are you watching somebody else just play a video game?
Exactly. These aren't athletes.
Why aren't you playing football yourself?
This coming from the same people who are probably going to start watching WWE SmackDown on Fox Sports. So, yeah. But it's not real games. Sports.
I'm not going to get into that too much or insulting it, but the other side of it, taking it a step further, is that a lot of times they get in front of these mainstream media outlets, and the first question is some bumbling buffoon interviewer you know, hey, how cool is it you get paid to play video? And they ask like really stupid questions and kind of minimalize what it is. Like, oh, you get paid to play video games? That's cool. How much money you make? Wow. You know, like, and they kind of take that as demeaning.
But these are the same people though that will stay up late until 2-3 in the morning and watch poker players win playing with cards.
Yeah.
Like, and Ruru has a great point. Ruru said, if bowling is a sport, video games are a sport. Like seriously, if people are going to sit there and watch somebody roll a 10-pound ball down the lane, I mean, why can't people watch somebody who's intently playing a video game and working to beat other people?
I think whatever, if you want to call it a sport, where I sit on it at my current spot is it's entertainment.
Yeah.
So anytime you're watching two people or a group of people take on another group of people and they're the best at what they do or among the best and there's wild, unpredictable results and you enjoy watching it, doesn't matter if you want to call it a sport or entertainment. Like, it's a force to be reckoned with, and this is one that has a large audience, and it is getting more exposure to regular people. And so being on Jimmy Fallon is a big step. Like, Jimmy Fallon is kind of been that guy. Like, he had Ninja on the show recently. He had Booga after he won, and you know, it's kind of not. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think he's realizing that, you know, they're probably seeing the influx of views and things and social media response when they talk to these people. And what's great about it is that does it in a very authentic way. I told Curtis and I talked about this a little bit before, and I loved your take, Curt, how you were like, the people who were voicing concerns just didn't do their research. Dig into that for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty common. A lot of the times we find that, you know, people that seem a little tentative or fearful of something, especially if it's something new, usually just don't know enough about it. Goes back to the old adage, you know, people fear what they don't understand. Yeah. It doesn't have to be that way, but it's pretty common. For the record, I would like to say, as I have said before when this topic comes up, sport, here's the definition: an activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes against another or others for entertainment. Yep. It's a sport. People, like, if you're phalanges, everybody remember 187 with Samuel L. Jackson's phalanges? These are fingers, right? They're physical. Yeah. So if you move them in a repetitive manner, the pattern that you need to in order to compete, you're physically exerting yourself. Am I not right? Like, you can get injured.
Yeah, you can get like carpal tunnel.
Carpal tunnel, right?
Yeah.
That's a huge thing. If you're like constantly flicking your wrist,
right.
Like, it's a lot.
Right. Yeah.
And it puts strain. If it puts strain, then it's a physical activity.
Absolutely. Yeah. You do it for so long, you get a headache, your eyes get blurry and all that. It is a sport, for the record.
Well, and not to mention, I mean, even then, if you take into account like the buildup of those muscles, those twitch muscles, those response timing, like all that are muscles that you're building to better compete in the avenue of competition you're in.
Beyond those twitch reflexes too, like the thing I find really impressive with a lot of these dudes is their ability, their reactions times.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's the reaction times. Like, you know, everyone could, you know, move a mouse or type on a keyboard really fast,
but the precision,
and then like in even a game I don't, you know, I'm not too fond of, like Fortnite. You know, like the building, you have to
the building is actually impressive.
It's impressive.
I'll admit. Like,
it's a skill.
They have to realize
it's a technique
in the span of milliseconds where the shot's coming from and what type of thing to build to get a positional advantage. Like, there's a lot of thoughts, and that goes into just a basic, you know, counter attack in that.
Straight up, I mean, chess is a sport. So, and I say all that just because I believe that this community, this sport has earned the legitimacy. If you don't understand what it is, that's not our problem.
Yeah,
that's your problem. And if you'd like, break out Webster's, it'll help a lot. My whole thing is that I'm just so happy that opportunities like this continue to come about. I feel like Jimmy Fallon is one of those people who's a prime person for it. He's very open, like welcoming. It's not just, oh, my producer told me I got to talk to you, so I'm going to make it fun for me. He's like, no, let me get into your world. Like, what is it like? Like, what, you know, why don't you tell the people, similar to when I was interviewing the Kingsguard at the California State Fair thing. I'm like, tell them some sacrifices that people don't realize you have to make as someone who plays a game for a living. It gets real, and I'm just glad that Jimmy Fallon highlighted that. He really shown the esports in a good light and the SF shock, and it was a win for people who are close to it and people abroad.
Yeah. The response was positive. I was just, mortified of the cringe comments that would come, because inevitably in esports, or when you're dealing with a younger community on social media, anything that they perceive that could be maybe perceived as cringe gets hit with all these comments and things like that. But I'm 100%, you can go through and check the Twitter right now. There was not one negative comment, and this was from top to bottom.
That's good.
Esports professionals, fans, people from across thought, I expected this to be bad, and it wasn't bad at all. And you're right, Curt, because like you compare Fallon to like Kimmel.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Kimmel, Kimmel gets his laughing at people,
right?
More so than laughing with. And then what Jimmy does is he really tries to understand a person he's talking to.
Yeah. Well, Jimmy Kimmel actually a few years back had Markiplier on, and they did a whole deep dive into.
The reason he had him on though was because he had said some stupid shit and did it like to make up for it. Because remember, he's the one that did. He did a full.
That whole diatribe that he did, that whole segment. I remember.
Thinking of how stupid it was that people use Twitch basically, and then there's Twitch outrage, and to make good basically.
To bring Markiplier on.
Yeah.
Save face.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's gonna change. Unfortunately, it is one of those things that's gonna be like it's gonna die with the old guard. And unfortunately, on the flip side, you got the younger crowd who knows the disdain that so many people have for it, so they rage against it with the negativity, you know, through online.
Yeah.
And people like us who are in the middle, we just got to make sure that we're stewarding both sides. We're educating the older crowd on what it is and how welcoming it is and how positive it can be. And then the younger crowd, we're showing them how to act with our actions.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The next day, our CEO, our boss, Andy Miller, was on CNBC.
Oh, that's right, he was
on Squawk Alley.
Uncle Andy.
And it was just kind of a crazy, 24 hours for the org to have this one thing. You got two of the players on Jimmy Fallon, and the next morning, your boss is on CNBC educating people. And I thought his takeaway quote, which was pretty good, is, of course, they asked him, is esports the future? Mm-hmm. And he was 100% right when he says, like, esports isn't really the sport of the future, it's the sport of right now.
Right.
And every sport had that moment. Mm-hmm. Before it blows up and it really explodes and it becomes, the legacy. Yeah. There was a time where people were like, "Oh, that's too violent."
Yeah.
That's
absolutely.
Football. Like,
too
what the hell? Yeah, we're baseball people.
Right.
And then football guys would be on, Squawk Alley saying, it's a legitimate sport. It's a sport right now.
And then you got people coming in with rugby like, "Oh, that's too violent." And then now rugby's a mainstay in the United States now, and
MMA.
Yeah, exactly. MMA. Boxing fans were like, "Oh, that's too violent."
Right.
And then MMA is like everywhere now.
And before anything goes pop, it has to have an audience before, like the underground audience. And I think esports is in that tweener phase where it isn't just for, it's got to get. It takes two things. It takes a public that needs to be a little more understanding and open-minded to new ideas, and it's going to take an esports community that's willing to open itself up and let people in, because that can be a huge deterrent. Is when this is my thing.
Right.
This is small.
Yeah.
Letting Jimmy Fallon interview these people that are heroes to me, means that they're going to get more fans. So there's that kind of mentality.
That isolationist mind state.
Yeah. So we got to fight against that. Like, if you're a gamer and you see Ninja's book on the shelf at Target, like, it's a little cheesy, but this is a book that got published and it's getting a lot of people interested in learning about video games.
You gotta look at the bigger picture.
Yeah,
definitely gotta look at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to talk about that for a minute. Thank you to the people at Jimmy Fallon. Great job to Super and Sinatraa. These guys crushed it. Absolutely. And it kind of bankrolls into this next news story I got on the docket, which is Activision confirmed Call of Duty League branding, the system that they're going to follow, and the prize money. So this is another big esports thing. As a lot of people know, the same people who do Overwatch League, Blizzard, Activision, are going to be also running this Call of Duty League. And it was a pretty big deal for, obviously, Call of Duty, legendary game. A whole different audience than we get with Overwatch League. But the big difference is when Overwatch League was created, there was no history beforehand, really. Like, there was some things in the Tier 2 scenes that they could kind of draw from, but the game was only a couple years old. Call of Duty's been around forever. There's years of history. They've been pros come and gone, rivalries that are going to be, super deep, and they have all that to its advantage when it comes to this new league. Basically, they have 12 teams, all reportedly spent about $25 million for a franchise, much like Overwatch League, with local cities, just like Overwatch League. The branding was pretty big. The cities are going to be, if you guys listening to this and you're like, who do I root for? Atlanta, the ATL. We got Chicago, Dallas, Florida, London, 2 LA teams, just like Overwatch League, Minnesota, New York, Paris, Seattle, and Toronto were all the official teams. Names have been leaked on Reddit. Pretty easy to find if you guys want to go look or care. I don't like that shit, dude. Why they gotta leak everything? People have been going through the source codes through the Call of Duty websites to find this stuff. They go through the game looking for stuff, and they eventually found what they think it is. So I don't want to report on it as fact because I honestly have no clue. The website also revealed that the teams are going to be battling for $6 million in prizes. Won $6 million in the first season, and the Call of Duty Championship.
And also too, I don't know if you mentioned this one or if you had seen this one, but the tournament's going to be exclusively only on the PS4.
Yeah, that was nuts to me. I found that a little interesting. I mean, it's a console game at heart, which I guess makes sense. I don't know how that's going to work if people could play with mouse and keyboard on it. I'm pretty naive to that.
I don't even know. It's interesting. Like, I can't play in the league. My PS Plus isn't working right now. So I don't know.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I think the other interesting thing is that they're going straight into road matches. Like Overwatch League, we had a full 2 seasons that were basically all centralized in LA. These ones are going to be like a road show right out the gate. They're going to be doing home games and home stands all across the country, which is exciting. One thing I don't know how it's going to work is Call of Duty is kind of feels like a hybrid between like the FGC a little bit and like Overwatch a little bit, because like people go to Call of Duty tournaments to compete. Like there'd be a lot of amateur teams competing in like an open bracket type thing. So I'm curious on how that's going to affect the league. Do you guys have seen anything on this? Any interest? I mean, it kind of sucks because the closest team to us would be LA. Yeah. So it's kind of hard I feel like, obviously I have ties to the Chicago one, so, I'm going to be bleeding whatever colors they get. But any interest from you guys is just like not really Call of Duty players in this league whatsoever?
Only thing that came to mind, I was like, well, I'm going to be a London fan because out of all those cities that they named, I like London the most. That was it. That is all.
What about you, Nexy?
I'm just here.
She's like, I'm just gonna keep streaming, just doing my thing. She's like, I'll sign up when the Halo League starts up, Ruru.
Yeah, there we go.
What about you, Eddie?
It's interesting for them to kind of take this approach, seeing as Overwatch has kind of paved the way for them doing this. I think there's still a lot of things that they could have done that would have made it a little bit easier to ease into the esports world. It's going to be like a case-by-case like opportunity, like observation. Whether or not this succeeds, the outcome of this is going to have heavy implications on future esports things. Just like we see with everything when it comes to the gaming world. When one thing succeeds really strongly, then everything else continues to go with the flow. But if something bombs hardcore, it affects the rest of the gaming world. Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
I'm excited for it. I think there's a lot, like you said, that they can learn from the first 2 seasons of Overwatch League, especially when it comes to franchising, working with these teams in the cities. I think that it has the star power. Like with these, like I said, it's, even though we don't talk about it too much on the show, and it's not a scene that I was particularly part of, my tenure in esports, the Call of Duty scene is a force. It's to be reckoned with. Like they got tons of content creators, maybe not to the level of like your ninjas and battle royale players, but it's a more hardcore audience, and there's people who know every single tournament winner, and they've been really active. It's not like Overwatch where it was kind of an unproven thing. This is a proven model, and they're taking already big stars and storylines and really just putting them under a huge microscope and putting them on a big stage. So I'm excited. I think it has a perfect recipe to be wildly successful. I'm of course going to give it a watch to just out of the curiosity factor. Like, let's just see what the hell happens.
Well, out of like professional curiosity as well. Like, how is this going to affect even the day-to-days with what you do? In terms of the impact and the changes now that everything is kind of on the downside of, leagues and whatnot and matches.
Yeah.
What does this mean in terms of when things start back up again? Are they going to change the structure or whatnot? What is this going to do to impact you?
Yeah.
So,
all right, one last news story before we get to our final segment of the show, and I thought this one was just super interesting. Zero, our boy, famous Super Smash player, probably the best to ever play it, one of the most notorious. He was famous for that 56 tournament win streak. And that was years ago. Mm-hmm. That was on the Wii U. I was still working at GameStop, and I would remember people coming in talking about this guy Zero who mops up all these tournaments. I didn't know what it was or who he was. I didn't know much about esports at all, but I knew the name Zero as like a god of Smash Bros. Turns out he made $45K total from that crazy 56 tournament streak.
Yeah,
that is it.
That's it. And think about, like, I don't know. You've been following the Smash scene longer than me, Curt. Was Twitch as big a thing for him in particular back in that stretch of time?
He didn't really have an opportunity to really stream like that because he was like the other thing about. I mean, just listen to how many he won.
Yeah, 56.
And he didn't. I was watching. He didn't win every tournament. He won like most of them, but like there were other tournaments where he didn't win, and some that he couldn't get to. But he went to a lot of tournaments. Man, shout out to Nairo because this is one of his best homies, and I just love Nairo. I almost wore my shirt. Honestly, it doesn't surprise me. Like as ingrained in the Smash community as I was, especially at that time, I had seen multiple documentaries, multiple interviews with these guys on what the winnings are and how much they walk away with. And I could tell you, like most of them, especially the individual players, most of them are losing money. Like easily, like traveling and hotels and you know what I mean? Like I said, I went to a few of them and you got, a bunch of, not all the time, but most of the time, a bunch of funky individuals, like 8 of us in one place. You know what I mean? That's too many funky people in one place. But realistically, man, a lot of people go and do it for the love. But and Nairo, I was wondering because I was like, not Nairo Zero. I'm like, man, that's a lot of tournaments he's going to. Like, I know he's making the most money out of everybody, and I know he's not making that much. So to actually see the figures, when Smash Ultimate rolled around and he wasn't going to tournaments anymore, so many people were talking about how scared everybody thinks he is because the game's changed too much and they see him took some L's online. And I was like, y'all don't get it. This man is a competitor, but he's going to make more money staying at home and you guys summon and him commentating these larger tournaments and breaking down what the tech is, and he's going to make from going.
Yeah.
He's just cut all his travel costs. Everything from his sponsors and everything from his sellers, that's in his pocket.
Yeah.
Another thing about Zero you have to understand is he isn't from here. He immigrated here. So he's already used to very, very, very humble beginnings and a lot of responsibility for taking care of his family. That's probably some of the most money they ever made. Yeah. So at the time, he's like, oh, I'm killing it. And then he gets to the top and he starts getting people whispering in his ear like agents or managers or just people who, have a little bit more knowledge, and he probably starts to see, okay, I really love this game. But it's very hard on me. It takes a lot of time. I don't get to see my girlfriend or my friends or my family that much. I have to travel a lot. I'm rarely ever comfortable. And I really don't make as much money as people like Ninja, other people who's just staying home and streaming.
Yeah.
So I already knew why he did it. The only thing that alarms me is just the figure. I was just like, man, only that much? That's crazy.
And maybe at the time, like, maybe it was just told him, like, oh, this is the most amount that you're going to probably be able to get. And like you said, him coming from humble beginnings, that could have easily been like I don't want to ask for too much more than, what I should be getting. And probably him being a humble guy, he was like, okay.
He is,
so I think a lot of it could also have been like a communication error on someone's part. I'm not going to say who, but like, you could have actually been doing X, Y, and Z or getting X, Y, and Z, and instead be like, oh, well, you know what, you just need to get this 40 whatever, that's all you need.
That's the unfortunate part about esports. I mean, I see it even just from talking to the Kingsguard guys. Like, honestly, sometimes, like, they're my friends, but honestly, sometimes I'm just like, what's crazy is this is going to turn into the point where you need agents, but real talk, you really should be having them now. Because they have to negotiate a lot of their own things, you know what I mean? Their own deals and this and that. And I know that they're not always properly represented, but same like you're saying, like they come from humble beginnings. And any of them are like, well, let me not ask for too much because I sure as hell don't want it taken away from me what I am going to be given.
We talked about it a lot in the when the Tfue stuff was going on.
That was a big topic.
That was Tfue's first contract, and it was pretty janky, when all things considered. Although, whether they held him to it or didn't. Like what was on paper wasn't fair.
It wasn't looking good. Yeah.
So I could totally see that. And the thing about Zero, which makes that a little different, is that most of these tournaments are super grassroots. Nintendo isn't regulating this. They're not throwing a bunch of money into the pot. So it's not like, oh yeah, Nintendo is cheap. But most 56 tournaments he won in 1 year. That's $45K, which equates to about $22 an hour, which is a pretty decent job. It's not you're not thriving, not for the work he's putting into it.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
But he, this is from tournaments where they're self-funding, or all the money comes from entry, and that guy's got to pay a venue fee, and he's didn't get enough sponsors to pay. So that's just I think the unfortunate thing about, and to be honest, the viewership wasn't that great either.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Like, are they streaming it?
Yeah,
so
they were doing a pretty good job about streaming their tournaments. They weren't bad about that. It's just that it's more of what you said in the front. Like, it's a lot of grassroots stuff. Like Capcom putting on Street Fighter tournaments, the Street Fighter tournaments being on ESPN or TBS. That's a big deal. Like, these guys, like Nintendo, literally was banning them just a few years before from even streaming at a large tournament.
And in a lot of these large tournaments too, there's a lot of different games happening.
Yeah.
So it's not like
one.
it's not like, so this article cites that Zackray,
young Zackray, I love Zackray,
the young guy from Japan.
Yeah,
he just won first place at his first super major, the Big House 9.
Yeah,
and they said that he brought home $4K.
And dude, he had to come all the way from Japan.
Bro. And the viewership was crazy.
Right.
Like, it had a lot of viewers on the Twitch channel.
Right.
And I think one of the big pieces that's missing, yes, he made X amount of money in that time frame.
Yeah.
However, how much were the expenses?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He had to fly all the way from Japan.
Like, the expense report will tell us exactly what was actually take home.
Yeah, exactly.
Because as much as he may have been getting 40 whatever, his expenses may have been in like the 60s.
Easy.
Because, talking about flights, talking about hotel costs, up until he got some kind of sponsorship or help or whatever. Like, he was doing all this on his own with food, travel, like...
Well, and right before that, Mango was up there winning Melee, which I'm sure had a similar prize pool, or as much as they could scrape together for the event. So
right, and Melee ain't even the hot ticket no more.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
I remember watching them and players from abroad saying, I pretty much can't get over here to compete on the international tournaments unless I have a sponsor. And I saw Captain Jack, not Captain Zach, Captain Jack, OG Melee player, actually the first Melee player to invite Americans over to play in Japan. Like, he's an OG in the game. Like, when I saw him, I was like, this is crazy. Nobody, like, the younger kids don't know who the heck he was.
Yeah.
He started his own league just so he could get more players from Japan out to America to play.
Yeah.
Like, it's that serious, man. So, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it doesn't surprise me. And we're talking about Zero making $22 an hour. He makes more than $22 an hour when he's streaming.
Right now, yeah, he's he's got to be living it up, dude.
Ruru over here, he gets exposure bucks.
Ooh,
there you
exposure
go.
bucks.
Exposure.
Clout's as good as money.
Over here bringing out the choosing beggars.
I know that way too well. Exposure bucks. Yeah, I pay my rent with those.
I was just gonna say, like, I went to Wendy's real quick and paid for my meal.
Cashed all of them,
yeah.
Exactly, all my exposure bucks.
And yeah, so it's just Jay Gist is in our chat right now, and he runs tournaments, like he's done it for a lot of years, and he says FGC needs non-endemic sponsors. So I don't know what it is. Like, the people who run these tournaments, or some of them anyways, are really smart people, but there's a lot of overhead costs. Like, to do an Evo event, like, that's a huge venue.
Oh yeah, that venue alone. I can't even imagine.
They're selling tickets and stuff, but you're just
and
covering
merch,
your venue and merch, and you're making money places, and you're losing a lot of money in other places and productions and stuff.
Lot.
It's a tough business.
Yeah.
To be a tournament organizer.
And look at the history of them. Like, I swear, like MLG and everything.
It's not very good.
They disappear, man. They go away.
That's why you see these different tactics like Overwatch League.
Right,
They're taking a different approach. They're sponsored by Toyota, so and they got a Twitch sponsorship type of deal, for X or Y Z amount of money.
Right,
so.
and that's why Jay's hitting the nail on the head. With the non-endemic sponsor, but we'll see
Well, then it's not grassroots anymore. Like you said right in here, find a way to partner with large corporations that will not ruin the grassroots scene. Like you're looking for a unicorn at that point.
Yeah, and the reality is, unfortunately, where those are going to be few and far in between until, like, I say within the next 10 years, we'll start to see a more regulated flow where that's more of the case. And because the corporation always wants as much exposure as possible, and they always think that they have these bright ideas that have nothing to do with the grassroots part of the movement. So it's just going to be a while before they learn to not be in their own way, and before, you know, and we got to continue to learn to orchestrate and operate in such a way that we attract those sponsors.
Yeah. Well, and I think the biggest part is having a way to having a resource to actually find those corporations who mesh well with that grassroots scene, that doesn't impede upon what they're trying to do and take over it, and then it becoming this like large corporate event rather than the grassroots scene or like a local, you know, meetup or a local comp.
I think a lot of it needs to come from the developer themselves, though. Like, especially in helping grow and foster it. Like, what do you expect, you know, Zero to make when it's all grassroots? Like, I'm impressed he made that much, to be honest.
We'll see
when you think of this. I've been to some of these tournaments.
Yeah, you've been to exactly.
You know, and some of them are just hold together with string. The heart is great, and the events are, you know, amazing, and you get crazy storylines from the player. Like, it's a beautiful thing to be a part of, but you're sitting on hard, you know, those plastic chairs you sit in the backyard to. Like,
it's true, man.
You know, they just are barely doing it to do it, and the person running the event isn't rich most of the time.
Yeah, majority of the time it's not. And it's tough because even on the developer side, especially me watching everything going on with NBA 2K, like, and then having, you know, people that I talk to that are in the league, at the end of the day, what is a developer trying to do?
They want to sell games.
Yep.
And here's the unfortunate thing. You can put on all the leagues you want, but until you get millions of people tuning in, and until majority of your money comes from that revenue stream, you're always going to revert to, you know, leaning towards your strongest revenue stream, and that's always going to be the game sales. So even then, I'm talking to people, and they're like, the mechanics in this game, it makes it difficult. And I'm like, word, but and they need to listen to us. I'm like, word, you're right, but you know who they're going to listen to? The 13-year-old who wants the cheese. So he could just shoot threes on his homeboy the whole night and style on him when he go to class tomorrow and make memes and make fun of him.
Yeah.
And they're going to pander to them. They can't, and I hate to say it, but they can't cut them out. Because if they cut them out, then 2 years later, we don't have a game no more. It's going to be the greatest game ever, the greatest version, and we won't have another one to play ever again.
Yeah.
Yep. It's true.
Sucks, man.
Well, we got one last segment of the show left to go, and we're going to pass it on over to Curtis's Comic Corner. What's the hotness this week?
Thank you to Oblivion Comics and Coffee for providing us with the comics that we get to review for you. Me, speaking of passing things along, Cory, would you pass me the physical copy of the comic?
Oh,
of course.
I don't even know if I have it on me.
He doesn't even know if he has it on him.
I don't think I have it.
Well, while he's looking for it, I'll talk about it.
The magic behind them.
2 different comic books, staggered bi-weekly, weaving together into one story. House of X concluded last week. Cory and I, of course, talked about it on the Krakoa cast. This week it was Powers of X. Powers of 10. I always get that confused. Nope. House of X. Powers of 10. Yeah, because in Powers of 10, everything is exponent. X to 0, which is year 1. X to the first power, which is year 10. X to the second power, which is year 100. And X to the third power, yes, X to the third power is year 1000. Right now. And look at that. You see that movie magic? Right there. Thanks, Oblivion Comics. Cory didn't even pass it to me. Oblivion Comics and Coffee did.
Yep.
Isn't that great? So album artwork is great, and it really does signify a little bit of what happens in here. Now, not that exactly. Of course, we wouldn't spoil it for you guys. You got to watch the Krakoa cast for that. But ultimately, it comes down that we know where Moira is now. And really, we found, if you guys follow closely, I will say there was a graphic showing all of her timelines and all of her lives. Well, one of them was missing, and we definitely get the answer to where that one was. My favorite part about the whole book has been what happens in year 1000. And I think we get a very satisfying answer to what that ultimately could be. But Jonathan Hickman literally took panels out of, and well, I shouldn't say him because R.B. Silva did the artwork, but they literally took panels out of Powers of 10 #1 to complete that moment, because it is nonlinear storytelling. So here's looking at you, Quentin Tarantino. But they go back to wrap that up, and as well as take stuff directly out of House of X #6 And it's dope because they were kind of like interweaving, and for a way you thought they were going away from each other, and they end in the same place. And now that it's been concluded, and we have all the players and all the scenarios set up, all of the X-Men books are going to spin off of this. We're going to get X-Men #1. We're going to get Marauders #1. We're going to get Fallen Angels with Brian Hill. Shout out to my homie Brian Hill. He's the homie now. I said it. Excalibur's coming back. X-Force, like I said, Mutant Black Ops. We're getting that back. All of those books are spinning out of it. So everything is set up. Do you have to read this before? I'm going to say yeah. because it's a pinnacle moment in comics. This is one of the best comic books that has come out in the last 10 years, easily. And it's setting up one of the best families. I'm going to call them a family. One of the best families in comics ever, or teams. And that's the X-Men. And the X-Men have been out of favor for so long. And now the power has been brought back. The players, like I said, are all in their positions. The scenarios are set up. The drama can begin with X-Men #1 next week and Dawn of X #week. So everybody, again, like we say, this is not one that you're going to be able to walk into most comic book shops and just get, because it's the hottest comic book out right now. So
it's a limited series. There's only 6 of them.
Six each, so 12 total.
Each. Yeah, 6 each.
But make sure you get a starter pull list at your local comic book shop if you're anywhere near Sacramento.
Yeah.
And I mean within 100 miles. I don't care if you got to drive. Make sure you call Oblivion Comics and Coffee, start a pull list, because you missed this batch. It's true. You can't get the reprints. Yeah. There's not going to be as many of them because
these are going to find an issue #1 first print.
No, you're not, unless you're going on eBay and paying way too much. But start your pull list now anyway. Catch up on this one, and then get your X-Men #1 in your box so you get that first printing. And make sure you tune into Krakoa Cast every week with me and Cory. We'll be doing it tonight after the show if you want to stick around, if you've been keeping up. If not, thank you to Oblivion Comics and Coffee for providing us with these books. And make sure you say Video Game Bang when you go in there. You'll get a sticker. I'm all out of stickers, Cory. I keep giving them all out.
I know, man. You've been getting a little reckless with these stickers.
Right. If you only knew, I'm shaking hands and kissing babies. Each one of these stickers, I got my daughters passing out stickers at school.
Dang, man. We're going to be the next Fortnite, bro.
Bro, I'm telling you.
Or you're going to get like an email on the website like, hey, so we found one of your stickers in our child's lunchbox. Could you not sell your propaganda on our school?
I'll be like, absolutely not. I'm an emancipated American.
Tune into our podcast to see what we say.
That's right. So thank you again to Oblivion Comics and Coffee. We appreciate you guys supporting us throughout this whole run, and we will continue to talk about the comics you provide with us each week going forward.
Yep. And like Curt said, after this, if you're watching us live on twitch.tv/videogame_bang, we are going to do the Krakoa Cast live on here, so you can get a glimpse at the last issue, what we thought about it, our impressions. I'm hoping Mr. Jay Gist in our chat stays by, because he had some opinions about it, and I'd like to answer his questions too. We need to get him in the studio to talk to us about this.
Yeah, we do.
Big J.
Exciting stuff, man. We're back. VGB is back, healthy. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all those places. Facebook is lit, man. We have our own personal meme lord who's just constantly dropping.
Jake!
Jake is our social media guy on Facebook, and he just drops the dankest of memes, so go check that out. Nexy, you got a big stream coming up you were telling us about. You teased it a little bit. When is this going down, and what can we do? Awesome.
Well, okay, I still have to work out some things, and then it's not on my end. I'm waiting on others. It's okay.
Oh, wow. So this is a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm excited.
It's a coming back stream with a brand new sponsorship, a brand new look to my stream as well.
You're rebranding again?
Well, no, I'm just...
She's still finding herself, Cory. Just leave her alone. Jeez.
I'm still a child. I'm finding my place in the world.
Oh, no. All right. So when can people find out when this is going to happen? Can they follow you on Twitter? Where?
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at nexuswashere, and check out my Twitch, twitch.tv/nexuswashere_, which I still need to email Twitch about that underscore, because Nexus was here OG. It doesn't exist. The original Nexus was here. It's not a page, and they won't give me the name.
You can't just take it? You can't just sign up with a new email and snag it?
No, because even if I change my Twitch name, like, it says that it's already taken, even though it's not.
That's the worst.
So, and it's been like that for the past 2.5 years. So it hasn't cycled through because there's probably a bug in their system.
Yeah.
And I need to email them.
A bug in Twitch's system? Hell no.
Yeah.
You're
No
crazy.
way.
No way.
Eddie
man.
Villanueva, where can people listen to the most recent episode of the film Philosophers?
You can catch us on all your streaming platforms at Libsyn, Audio Boom, Player FM, Stitcher, Google Play, iTunes, Pandora, Spotify. You can also check us all out on filmlosophers.com, the VGB Studios website where we are hosted at, where you can catch all 186 episodes. We got the last one that just recently dropped, like I said, The Joker. We got an extra credit episode dropping this Friday where we talk about Halloween and prepare ourselves for what we got coming up next with Oblivion.
Exciting stuff. Curt, where can they find you?
Yo, twitch.tv/Skipintosh, twitch.tv/ the Sacktown Breakdown. Oh, I had Matt George lined up to be on, and I fell ill yesterday and had to reschedule with him. But definitely tune in because tomorrow I will be going to the game, and we will do a little pre-show, and of course I'll be wrapping up the game after. And make sure you guys check out Thinking Critical on YouTube. Me and my main man Wes breaking down a bunch of stuff, and him and a whole bunch of other people on other panels talking about all the comics that y'all love and the comic book news for you.
Curt's current strategy is just make so much content that you can't ignore him anymore. Like any platform, any URL, you're gonna find Curt making something.
He is everywhere.
And then for us, you can check us out if you're in the Sacramento area at Oblivion Comics and Coffee next Monday for our spooktacular trivia night that we're doing at Oblivion Comics and Coffee. We love these nights. It's a good time to hang out. People from the Sac PC gaming group, people from local game developers, they all stop by, and it's like a giant mixer. We have Twitch streamers, all sorts of fun stuff. They
listeners
give us
to the shows.
Yeah, we meet our listeners there. People give, Oblivion is gracious enough to give us drink discounts. Everybody who wants to grab a beer, grab a nice dinner, because they have those vegan paninis over there. So
not just vegan though; they do have the vegan stuff, but they got other stuff too. Just
yeah, they got tons of stuff. They got everything. They got the VGB Sunrise, and you can pick up your comic books.
Which, by the way, is one of Spencer's favorite drinks. My co-host. Spencer
Oh, is it really? He likes it.
He every time we go in to do, because we record our extra credit episodes. Every time we go in, he gets one of those in the morning. So
it's so good. So hang out with us next Monday night. We'll love to see you there. And the San Francisco Shock, man. Follow us on all the social medias at SF Shock. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up in the off season. I'm excited about. Just an exciting time, guys. But alas, we will see you on the next episode. For Eddie Villanueva, Nexus was here. Curtis Fisher. My name is Cory, saying you've just been banged.